Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video we're talking about love and all its forms. Well, one in particular, not one to cause joy. In the city of Carlsbad, man, the names in this one dead giveaway. Diana and Greg were going through some turbulent times, and then things took a very bizarre turn, with Miss Diana getting out her little notepad, writing down some ideas. And so Diana, Big D, thought, I know a quicker and cheaper way to get through this. If only I knew the right guy. She found him. Let's give it a go.
I'm Diana Lovejoy, and quick meals are my specialty. I know that you don't have all day. We've got mouths to feed. Welcome to my kitchen, where I really like to cook, but I'm often short on time, so speed is the hook. I'll show you how to make a meal in almost no time flat. Takes less than half an hour, and you'll have it down pat. The recipes from Craft.
If you thought this enthusiastic and incredibly natural presenter was headed for the small screen, you'd be right. Just not in the way she was hoping. The city of Carlsbad lies to the north of the city of San Diego in Southern California. It's a coastal city, population roughly 100,000, and to be among that 100,000, you need to be earning more than that a year. You'd need to be a rich bitch in one of the most expensive, affluent cities in America. It is a beautiful city. Carl's good. And there you got your beaches, your babes, your Legoland, your golf, your crackheads. What more do you want? Come on now. Okay, that's enough about Carlsbad. It's rad, you get the picture.
But I'm often short on time. Get out some angel hair and get ready to go. Just cook per the instructions. 6 minutes or so.
And so, the city of Carlsbad is where we meet this human?
Doesn't that smell nice?
The eponymous Diana Lovejoy. Passionate about food, clearly.
Voila, your dinner wish.
But not just that, thank God. She also loved music and fitness and all that sort of shite. Diana was born in 1975, a native Californian. After attending Mountain View High School, she went on to the University of California, San Diego, graduating with a BA in Literature, Psychology, Music, and French. Sacre bleu! Her career would mainly be centered on technical writing, engineering documentation, data protection, installation guides. Those forms you've probably never read have to be written by somebody. That somebody was Diana Lovejoy. She started out at Nokia, then went on to work for a number of digital companies, before landing at Salesforce in 2014 as a senior technical writer, where she would, quote, welcome the opportunity to make your documentation exceptionally effective. Wow, look at you. So technical writing paid the bills, but it was not her passion. No, that was fitness. She would, in 2008, become a personal trainer and triathlon coach, and also write for the Women's Triathlon organization. To quote Diana herself, balancing the cerebral with the physical is a lifestyle for me. Don't know her, but that sounds exactly like something she would say. So during these exciting times, that's when she met Greg Mulvihill, who was he also worked in the tech industry as a software engineer. They met on a dating site in 2005 and seemed like a great match from the get-go. They both worked in the tech industry, loved fitness and the outdoors, and they met at an age where they'd be, looking to settle down, perhaps start a family. In August 2007 they married, and that's when they moved to Carlsbad together, buying a home there. This was followed 5 years later by the birth of their first child. This came actually with great difficulty. Diana, she had 8 miscarriages, which, as you can imagine, would be unbelievably difficult. might actually explain what's going to happen. However, when the child was 2 years old, that's when the marriage started to decay. See, Greg, he lost his job. Diana, she became, the sole breadwinner, so she had a lot more stress on her plate, and she also developed chronic fatigue around that time too. She thought she might have fibromyalgia, which can be quite painful and exhausting. It's also very hard to diagnose, which just leads to more frustration, a frustration Diana had, and had for her son too, who she also believed may be suffering from it. In 2014, Diana and Greg, after going through marriage counselling, they separated. Greg moved out, but they would still co-parent their baby boy. Now, what I just said was a very nice way of saying what actually happened. It's like the way you would explain it to a neighbour when you don't really want to have to get into it. In 2014, Greg returned home to the house they lived in together with their son, right? And as he opened the door, or was about to, a sheriff rocked up and gave him a temporary restraining order. Greg had 10 minutes to grab his shit and get out. Diana alleged that she had woken up in the middle of the night 2 days prior to find him sexually assaulting her, and so he had to go. She also said he had been abusing drugs around the kid and molesting him. The custody battle began. Greg initially only able to see his son 10 hours a week. There were psychological examinations, that sort of thing, drug tests. Greg retorted, saying Diana, she was a nutjob, she was a crazy bitch who was emotionally, physically, and verbally abusing him. Then in November 2015, custody was changed to be 50-50 as there was no evidence of any abuse happening, like Greg on the kid, at all. The divorce was finalized in June 2016. Diana, she now became fearful, right, that the authorities, they hadn't listened to her. No, she was now on her own. She was in the wilderness, and Greg, he might be out to get her. Lock and load. She began visiting a shooting site on the reg, called Iron Sights, looking to become a marksman, a crack shot. She wanted to know how to defend herself, in case crazy Greg rocked up.
Okay, today I'm going to teach the 5-minute shooting lesson, made famous here at shooting range I work at. First thing, they're shooting on the other side, so okay, as promised, I said I was going to talk about how to line up your sights. And again, first thing I'm going to do, verify that the firearm's unloaded. Now, this gun is unloaded. I don't know if you can really make it out, but I have 3-dot night sights on this gun. So when they're lined up properly, those 3 dots are all aligned straight across.
She got herself a trainer, a former Marine named Weldon McDavid. They would communicate constantly, and Weldon, well, he wanted to take care of her. He had been through situations like this before. Wives, spouses who had been abused by their husbands. He'd seen it all and thought he saw it again in Diana. He believed that Greg could be a threat to her and the child, and so he sort of became her protector. Greg was shot in September 2016. On the 1st of September, on a dark and moonless night, this 911 call came in to dispatchers.
Hello, this is 911.
Yeah. My friend has just been shot.
Do you know who shot him?
There's a guy lying down like a sniper.
A sniper? Did you see him at all?
Briefly, we saw the gun, and he shot at us like 6 or 7 times.
There was a goddamn maniac on the loose. The caller was Jason Kovac. He was telling the operators that it was his friend and co-worker, Greg, that had been gunned down. When officers arrived on the scene, they found Greg in his car and he was bleeding out. He had been shot in the chest, the bullet passing through him. He was rushed to the nearest hospital. Armed police then descended on the dirt trail just off Avenida Soledad. They didn't find the guy though, this sniper who was hiding in the bushes. He escaped into the dark of the night. Weird situation. Well, I mean, I haven't even gotten to the weird part yet, but trust me. So what were they doing out there that night? Well, let me tell you. See, Greg had already rang 911 earlier that very same night, September the 1st. He'd called saying he needed their help. A mysterious person had called him, claiming to be a private investigator and telling Greg he had been hired by Diana. This private eye told Greg he had documents proving he had been abusing his son, documents that Diana would be using against him. Now, Greg was obviously like, I haven't been. So what the fuck? What are you on about? The PI said he would call him back. And he did. This time saying he had left the documents near Greg's house in Carlsbad, taped to a power pole just off a dirt path on Avenida Soledad. So after getting these calls, Greg, he rings up the cops and he's like, just got a weird call, mysterious man. What do you recommend I do, you know, your area of expertise? I don't know, do what you want. Greg then called Jason and asked him to go with him. Jason lived in the same building. So, at about 11 PM, armed with a flashlight, Greg and Jason started plodding down the dark trail, and as they approached the pole this mysterious caller mentioned, Greg saw something at the base of it, but nothing taped to the pole. Feeling suspicious, like this was either a prank caller or a setup, they kept their distance and started checking their surroundings. Then, further on in the distance beyond the pole, shined a flashlight, they saw some what looked like clothing. And then they saw a barrel. A barrel pointed at them. And it opened fire. There was a sniper in the bushes. Greg and Jason just absolutely booked it, but Greg got shot. One out of the 6 that flew through the air in their direction. They made it back to the car. Greg lost consciousness, and then...
There's a guy lying down like a sniper.
So police were on the trail that night, and they found nothing. The towel at the base of the pole. Underneath the towel was, well... shit. Literal human shit. Ah, that's why he's so angry. Nice little surprise there. Other than that, though, they found nothing. Greg very nearly died. The bullet passed under his left armpit. That's where all the good shit is. Miraculously, it didn't go through anything major. He survived surgery, was in the hospital for 2 days before being released. The investigation then began into who was behind this. Well, Diana, she was first up. Didn't think it was her, though. She didn't seem like a sniper wolf type character.
Don't get between a wolf and its prey.
And she had no clues as to who it could be, She was scratching her noggin. Oh, don't know. The mysterious caller that night, the PI... Well, the call was traced to a burner phone, so nothing there either. Not exactly. I mean, there actually was something there. They could trace to where the phone had been bought, a Best Buy a few miles away, and CCTV revealed it had been bought by one Diana Lovejoy 2 weeks before the shooting. She was then taken in and placed under arrest, giving what appears to be honestly kind of a hilarious mugshot. I'm sorry. She denied having anything to do with it, though she did say, going through some shit with my husband and somebody did volunteer to help me. Don't know if they actually did anything though. I didn't tell him to. I mean, he said he was gonna scare him, but I don't know. She said she'd given the burner phone to Weldon that night and dropped him near Greg's house, and he was only supposed to scare him. That was it. Then she left him, drove around for a bit, came back, and he booked it into the car. He jumped in the car, right, and saying it had gone horribly wrong, and he had to open up on him. It couldn't be helped. On the 8th of September, SWAT busted open the front door of Weldon McDavid's, searching his house. They found, well, what you expect, shitload of guns, a suppressor, which is illegal in California, and spent shells. Weldon was arrested.
The gentleman got shot. I'm asking you where you were at last week.
Where did you get shot?
What location? Rancho Santa Fe, Avenida Soledad.
And I don't know that location.
Then, remember that big old pile of shit they found underneath a towel at the pole? DNA tests were done on it. And, you know, well, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
I was on a dirt road, just running along, and I did have to That explains it.
It then finally dawned on Weldon that Diana had fabricated everything about Greg. He wasn't on drugs, he didn't abuse her or the kid. Diana just wanted him gone.
I have a feeling I'm being set up.
By who?
In fact, I know I'm being set up.
Who's setting you up?
I'm so
She had met Weldon, she knew he was a noble guy who would take matters into his own hands if necessary. And she made it necessary. She also slept with him, which would help. Diana and Weldon were both charged with attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. It was over a year after the shooting, in October 2017, that Diana Lovejoy and Weldon McDavid both would go on trial.
Prosecutors laid out their opening arguments alleging 45-year-old Diana Lovejoy and 50-year-old Weldon McDavid Jr., an expert shooting instructor, conspired to kill Lovejoy's ex-husband, 45-year-old Gregory Mulvihill. Prosecutors say Lovejoy hatched a plot, with the help of her gun instructor, to lure Mulvihill to Avenida Soledad in Carlsbad to ambush him. Mulvihill was shot once in the torso and nearly died, but did pull through. A close friend, Jason Kovach, relived the shooting.
Greg yelled gun, and then shooting started happening right after that, and we ran the other direction, away from the gunfire.
The defense attorney for McDavid says, as an expert in firearms, if McDavid wanted to kill Mulvihill, he could have easily, and those shots were simply warning shots.
Marines are taught if they wanted to kill someone, 2 to the center, max, 1 to the head.
Things didn't really look too good for them. It would have been a slam dunk, really, so the defense decided to go with what Diana was going with. Greg was a bastard, and, you know, vigilante justice, you know, he got what was coming to him. Then, surprisingly, Diana's aunt testified, also called Diana, and she told the jury that over a year before the shooting, in March 2015, while out at a nice restaurant, Diana the younger had spoken to her aunt about, you wouldn't know any, like, killers, would you? Anybody who could kill old Greg?
Can you help me find someone to kill Greg?
Randomly, a deputy district attorney just so happened to be within earshot that very evening and heard the entire thing. Aunt Diana was then soon contacted by the police, but denied everything to protect her niece. I guess when she actually went through with it, she decided it was time to fess up. She had been fed the very same shit Weldon had been fed, that Greg needed to go, and Aunt Diana had told her not to go through with it. Should have listened. Both Weldon and Diana said there was no intent to murder, just, you know, things got out of hand. After all, Weldon, he was an expert marksman and he had a rifle. If he wanted to kill, he could have killed him. Yeah, right, he just didn't expect Greg to bring Jason along that night. Diana, she wanted her kid, and not only that, as part of the custody agreement, she had to pay Greg child support, and also a lump sum of $120,000. She had agreed to pay Weldon $2,000, you know, to scare him, which is the cheaper option. After a day and a half, the jury returned with
the guilty verdict announced against her. Then a moment or two later, as they started to pronounce the verdicts against her co-defendant, that's when she collapsed.
Then this happened.
We, the jury, in the above entitled cause, find the defendant, Diana Jean Lovejoy, guilty as charged in count 1. Verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled cause, find the defendant, Diana Jean Lovejoy, guilty of the crime of attempted murder of Greg Mulvihill in violation of Penal Code Section 664/187, paren A, paren 1, as charged on count 2. We further find true the allegation that Diana Jean Lovejoy acted willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation within the meaning of Penal Code Section 189. We further find true the allegation that Diana Jean Lovejoy was vicariously armed with a firearm within the meaning of Penal Code Section 12022, paren A, paren 1, dated 11/13/17, signed foreperson. In the Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of San Diego, the people of the State of California, Plaintiff versus Weldon K. McDavid, defendant. McDavid, guilty of the crime of conspiracy to commit murder.
All right, we're going to need to take a break.
Guilty on all charges, but Diana, she wasn't having any of it. She was like, I'm out.
A reporter from another station is trained as an emergency medical technician. He quickly walked up to help until paramedics could respond. Lovejoy was unconscious for a time, then taken to a hospital for treatment. Court was adjourned briefly, then back in session for the two verdicts to be read against McDavid. He also found guilty on both charges. After court, the jury foreperson said the defense version didn't seem plausible.
The defense seemed almost too far-fetched.
Man, if only she put as much effort into this.
I know that you don't have all day. We've got malice to feed.
As she did this. Diana was ultimately sentenced to 26 years to life in prison.
But I never, first of all, I would never, and I never did. The records show that I never attempted to delay or block any visitation between Greg and his son, even before he had custody. And I would never take Caleb's father away from him. I would never be able to do that. And it's so painful that some people in this world seem to think that I would have it in me to do this. I would not be able to, even though I personally, our relationship of love was over, I still care about Greg, and as much as I did love him, I loved him a lot, and I really cared about him, and I still care about Greg. I still cared.
Weldon was sentenced to 50 years to life.
There have been several things said about me that just are not true. First and foremost, from prosecutor to probation department, they have said that I have no remorse for this. I did not intend to shoot Mr. Mulvihill. I'm sorry that I shot Mr. Mulvihill. It was an aiming error, as I stated previously. There was no intent to kill. That's not who I am. If I had intended to shoot Mr. Mulvihill in the center of his chest, at most, it would have been 2 inches off. There's no way that I would have hit in the armpit. At 59 feet, I could turn my head away and still hit.
Diana will be eligible for parole when she is 70 years old. Weldon when he is 100. And that's the end of that chapter. Bizarre. Stupid. Kind of funny in parts. She was fine after the fainting, just so you know. Wow, she's really gone. I mean, she's kind of gone here too, but in a different way. I feel kind of sorry for Weldon, his misplaced, I don't know what you want to call it, nobility, hero complex, more like, proved to be his own downfall. In the end, though, they were both fucking idiots, right? And Diana, she's not going to have any love or joy in prison. As for Weldon, well done. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with this guy. Here, go on. I'll see you as always real soon in the next L1. Until then, please look after yourselves. Take care. I love you. Mike out.